Yeah, how's it going?
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going good. How you doing?
Everything's good on my end. Why don't you do a little bit of introduction on, who you are and
Sure.
what you do?
What's going on, guys? So I am Kiefer. I run a account on Instagram called Mr. Social Eats. Besides that, I'm a social media manager at Candy Box Marketing. Things I specialize in is social media in general, how to monetize accounts, how to build relationships, content creation, content strategy, just everything social, essentially.
When was it apparent that, things started coming in, whether that was monetary or any type of conversation started coming in where it was like, hey, I can really support myself doing social media management.
You know what? I know we were. This question actually is asked a lot. It's like, when was that moment you knew? And I honestly, I think back and like, I don't really think there was a moment. I think that it was small, consistent actions that got me to where I was. Like, I was literally thinking about this, and I'm like, what was the moment where I was like, this could be a thing? And like, the energy that I bring to anything, I always think it could be a thing, even if it's the smallest thing. I'm like, this could
Mm-hmm.
be something big. Like if I put my efforts and energy behind it. So for myself, there wasn't really a moment when, in terms of supporting myself, like I said, it was something that was like, okay, like this month I got 3 clients, next month I got 5, and it kept growing and just I made it more sustainable for long term. But there wasn't really a real moment. I think it was just those small, consistent things, those small wins that I would get continuously until,
Mm-hmm.
again, then you get recognized for bigger stuff.
What are some tips that you'd give out to someone starting out that wants to like start growing their social media brand, whatever it is, through Instagram, let's say, as a good example?
Plan things out. I think if you're going to use social media, have a strategy, have some sort of objectives. Biggest mistake people do is just start posting, or they just think they understand social media. Like, do a little bit of research. There's Create a social strategy. Essentially, any clients that we work with, the first thing I ask them is, "What's your social strategy right now?" And they're like, "Hey, yeah, we post food pics, or we post our products." And I'm like, "That's not a strategy. That's just promoting what you have." So going back to that, just this creating a social strategy would probably be the number one thing. And that's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's the objectives of social media? What type of content pillars are we going to be doing? What's the inspiration we're going by? Who are our competitors? What are they doing? Coming out with a content calendar. If you ask me what is being posted every single day December, I could tell you, because I actually have a content calendar every day of posting, or every other day, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
I schedule it. So being organized, planning things out, I think would be the biggest advice. Did you want to repeat the question? Because I always kind of
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
repeat
So the question was just about like how,
mental health.
social media and mental health tie in
Yeah,
together and how it's kind of affecting it.
it does affect it. You can't. No one can ever say social media doesn't affect your mental health. I think it's just how you um, monitor and how you cope with it. So, like for me, for instance, I try to do something where, like at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I turn off my phone, and like, you know what, like I don't use, like I've been pretty bad in the last couple of weeks, not gonna lie, but I came to a point where I was like, I think during quarantine too, like since March, we've just been on our phones so much more because there's a little less to do. So we're on our
Right.
phones so much more. We're spending so much time just right in front of that phone, where we're just like forgetting to enjoy the things around us. Uh, I have close friends that do this all the time, and I'm sure you know this too. Is when we go out and we're out wherever it is, people pull out their phones to take a cool story pic to show people, and
Right.
then they have their head down for the next 2 minutes editing their stories post instead of enjoying the moment that we're there.
Yeah.
And I think those are all small things that you just have to keep in mind. I think social media, it can affect your mental health if you let it. So things like capping your time, things like spending. I do like 15 minutes like dashes on social media, essentially, where I'll be on for 15 minutes, then I get off for the next 2 hours or whatever it is. So I think just being mindful of the time you spend on it and what you're doing on it will help you with mental health. But like I said, social media definitely affects it. It just depends on who you are and how much you let it affect you.
So obviously, COVID is affecting the restaurant industry greatly, like insanely. What are difficulties with COVID? What are your difficulties with COVID, and how are you kind of overcoming these obstacles?
Everyone is dealing with difficulties, of course. Myself, we built a business literally off restaurant marketing. So that hurt us heavy too, because literally all
Mm-hmm.
our clients had to pull back. Restaurants are suffering. The first thing they pull back is their marketing efforts, which means that we get affected. And so just to kind of answer that is like, and like we just try to come up with new innovative ideas. Restaurants too, like they've coming up with take home kits and meal kits and different things like that, adding promos, cool specials. In terms of like myself personally, like I've been affected in a sense where like, hey, you know what? People are not going to restaurants as much as they were. So my
Mm-hmm.
marketing is not as effective anymore. So we've kind of pivoted. Before it was always like, hey, do you want to like our pitches, whatever our pitch was to get like awareness, like get featured on our platform. We actually switched it up now where we're instead of saying like get featured on our platform, we're like, hey, we'll create content for you. I know you're struggling right now. We'll create social media content for you, whether it's quotes or whether it's pictures of behind the scenes at the restaurant, or if it's
Mm-hmm.
some takeout stops. We'll create content for you and give it to you. And you know what? As a bonus, we'll also feature you on these pages, right? Like, so we've kind of pivoted our services in the sense where it's like now we help restaurants instead of the awareness side, we actually help restaurants with content creation and how to help them get the best out of their social media marketing. And we've pivoted like that. But for anyone that right now got hurt with COVID, like again, we're 8-9 months in, so I hope you're doing something already about this. But if you aren't, just think about like ways you can pivot your work and go from there. Carlina, a perfect example, the biz mixer. She's an event-based business, man. So, and in COVID, there's no events. She took
Mm-hmm.
everything virtual, and now she's doing amazing things online. So, like, again, just pivoting, understanding your industry, understanding how you're affected, and then understanding what you can do to change things. Like, again, a lot can happen from that, from just doing that, and just realizing, adjusting, and evaluating. Essentially, let's make it
All right
happen.
then, man.
All right, take it
Have
easy.
a good evening.
Yep, you
All right,
too.
see you, everyone.
Cheers.